Hey guys, it's Rashcroft with Political Simulators Unite. Today I wanted to do start a playthrough series with China Mao's Legacy. And just a quick thank you to you guys for watching the previous video, which kind of went more in depth into kind of describing some of the different dynamics within the game. And Also, a quick thank you to Kremlin Games for sharing the video on their Steam page. That was really nice of them to do so, and just look forward to continue to bring you guys more content on the game and others. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. But let's go ahead and get into the game. So we are starting off here in 1976 as the leader of China. Now, under the previous video, I had already done the first event, and so I'm just going to go ahead and start that to get past that part. So, and I'm making the same decision that I did last time. Okay, so let's get an idea of where things are at the moment. None of the doctrines have changed. This is the very beginning of the game. And I have not selected a particular wing of the party to support. So I'm going to go ahead and support the moderates currently. As you can see, this is where we are in regards to our economic situation. We have 3 in the budget currently, and we are losing our debt well, actually we're not. As of yet, but we will be shortly. But this is how things stand at the moment. Science, we're going to go to that screen and select our first thing to research, which I'm going to choose agriculture. And we're going to move there. Politics, kind of lay of the land, as you can see. Pretty strong support for us so far. But I think I'm going to try to kind of get ahead of the game here. And that moved him to here. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and continue on. Our next event. So here we go. Criticize Deng and fight with the right. The Tao of Zen and Lie seriously affected the position of his protege, Deng Xiaoping, who was left without the patronage of the former prime minister. He is now under constant attack by the radicals, headed by Mao's wife, and on February 2nd, Xiaoping was transferred to work in the field of external relations. With the permission of Mao's wife and her supporters, they managed to launch a campaign, criticize Deng and fight with the right, and begin an active persecution of Deng in the media. It is noteworthy that although Mao treats Xiaoping with disbelief, he is not yet participating in the persecution. And what should we do, given that that's us, has never been on good terms with either Mao's wife or Xiaoping? Okay, so that is our situation. Let's look at the different options we have. So we have do nothing and just kind of let them, battle it out. We have join in with the persecution of Xiaoping, who is the leader of the reformers, by the way. Or we can stand up for Xiaoping. In this case, my intention kind of moving forward in this game, this playthrough, is to kind of take a moderate path. So I'm going to do the moderate thing by doing nothing. So here's the result. In the media controlled by Zheng Qing's group, this is Mao's wife, active persecution of Deng Xiaoping and his ideas began. Deng himself spends these months at home waiting for his fate. Like any action of Mao's wife's group, this one did not arouse any sympathy among the people, where Xiaoping was respected for contacting popular Zhao Enlai and for participating in correcting the consequences of the Great Leap. Provincial party committees also joined the criticism of Xiaoping soon after Mao issued a directive on March 3rd, confirming the legitimacy of the Cultural Revolution and noting that Deng Xiaoping is an internal problem of the country. So just kind of a further explanation as to where things are. Essentially, the people, it appears, are behind Xiaoping. They're not responding to the left radicals' criticism of him. And we did nothing, so we really didn't take, position on that. Let's see. Let's go ahead and move things forward here. I'm not going to get too much into the internal political decisions that we can take or stances we could take with individual parties as of yet. I kind of just want to wait till Mao dies, which should be fairly soon. And then, oh, here we go, another event. Okay, here we go, elections in Thailand. After the fall of the military junta in 1973 and the transfer of power to the civilian government, Thailand entered the period of chaotic democracy. Sounds like the United States. The victories of the communist forces throughout Indochina contribute to the growth of leftist sentiments led by the Maoist Communist Party of Thailand, which is engaged in both partisan and legal activities. They are opposed by the right-wing military, landowners, and other royalists, which often leads to clashes. Under these conditions, against the backdrop of the outbreak of the crisis of the Thai economy, the Democratic Prime Minister of Thailand is forced to hold early elections. Maybe this is our chance, if not to lure away, then at least destabilize the bastion of imperialism in Indochina. All right, so there's our situation, our three options. Again, we have do not interfere, support the CPT, and create a coalition. So this is with the left and the Democrats. This is the political route. Or to hell with the election. It is better to send CPT more weapons for guerrilla warfare. I am going to take the moderate position. All right, and the result, we managed to provide substantial support for the CPT and to achieve an alliance with various moderately left-wing activists and some warming of relations with the Social Action Party and the Democratic Party in exchange for the termination of partisan attacks on military bases. So we're taking, our folks are stepping back on the actual attacks on military bases. We're indicating that we're willing to take the political route here, and so we've been able to build some alliances here with some of the more established, like-minded political groups in the country. So as a result of this, the Premier of Thailand, his party received the largest number of votes, which had to form a coalition with the Democrat Party, and our people, royalists in the government and officers, are unhappy with the strengthening of the left, and so therefore the situation is heating up. So basically what's happened in this particular case is the left and the moderate left, I guess you could say, now have control in Thailand, but the royalists and the reactionaries in the government are not happy. So we'll see what that leads to. I'm going to check something here. We don't have 4 agent networks. Okay. All right. Nothing we can do at this point. Let's go forward. And another event. And again, Zhou Enlai. On March 25th, 1976, an article was published in the Shanghai newspaper in which the late Zhou Enlai was counted among the capitalist roaders, supporters of the capitalist path. The material appeared at the direction of the head of the Shanghai Party organization, who happens to be a close associate with Mao's wife. The article also sharply criticizes both Deng Xiaoping and his reform ideas. This article is actually for the first time publicly accusing Zhao of sympathizing with capitalism, and it is not known how the people will react to it. Okay, so more political mudslinging here. And again, the 3 options: do nothing, withdraw material and prohibit his publication, support the thesis of the article and distribute them to the media. I could do nothing, but I don't. I try to want to limit the uprising and unrest among the people. Let's do that. Okay, so the result, because of the enormous power of the party functionary in Shanghai as head of his administration, the article, despite your attempts to seize it, still leaked. But your actions allowed to delay and impede the dissemination of the article. It is precisely because of this that the scale of the protest of the people who took the article as an insult to the deceased and the beginning of a repressive ideological campaign of the radicals is not as big as it could be. Okay, so I think that's good news. We've kind of mitigated some of the impacts there. Just to get an idea of where things are going. Oh, and we have another event. I still want to get an idea. Okay, so we've got our agent networks increasing. international reputation, standard of living still increasing, liberalization of minds went down, support of the people, support of the party. Okay. So the Tiananmen incident. Now, I'm not going to read through this entire thing. Basically, what's happened, there are calls for the overthrow of Mao and the demands of genuine Marxism, Leninism, and Mao's wife wants to do a hardcore crackdown on the protest, and Wu Di, he is advocating for avoiding violence. Let's see here. Disperse protest with the help of the army and police. We know what that means. Call all to go away and disperse the remaining. Call everyone to go away and cordon off the rest until they leave. I'm going to take the middle route. At 6:30 in the evening, Wu Di, through loudspeakers, called on the crowd to disperse. Many left, but about 1,000 people remained, so on and so forth. Okay, so the key thing here, it seems we managed to suppress the speeches without bloodshed and cruelty. We did declare them, however, a counter-revolutionary incident, and they did assign the responsibility of that to Deng Xiaoping. And as a result, Deng Xiaoping now has been removed from all posts in terms of leadership within the party, but he does retain his membership. And so now Deng has been exiled to Guangzhou under the protection of his old comrade in arms, commander of the Guangzhou military district. All right, so some moves here. Let's see where things are right now. Mao and his wife at the top. Let's see, more left radicals. We got a moderate here. Now, the reason I keep referring back to this is because this is where, among the different party functionaries, this is where the conspiracies come from. And so I would suggest from time to time, particularly after an event that impacts that situation, coming back and just making sure that, you got enough people. I don't know, and there is no specific number per se, but that you have a significant number of folks who are loyal to you, which is indicated by this bar here. So green is awesome, light green is awesome, and then as the color changes and as the bar goes down, the loyalty goes down. Like for instance, the reformist here, he has no loyalty to me whatsoever. Neither does Deng Xiaoping, which is not really a surprise. I mean, I haven't stood up for these guys at all, so I'm going to leave things as they are. And we're going to move forward. Okay. I'm going to get a look at the economy. Because what happens here usually is the standard of living drops out, the bottom drops out of it. And so what you want to do is I want to try to head that off. Our budget is going down, our debt is going down at a pretty good rate. It was 14 initially. Corruption, always keep an eye on that. That's going down, that's good. Industry slightly increasing. Okay. All right. So, things are progressing, and basically I'm waiting for the death of Mao, which should take place very soon. And, another event, the earthquake. Terrible tragedy here in China. 200 to 600,000 people died, according to preliminary data. A terrible historical event. So the choices we have: allocate funds from the budget for restoration, which I could, which would put me negative. I'm not going to do that. Request foreign humanitarian assistance. And then, of course, there's no money for such events there. And then let the provincial administration deal with it. Given that this is such a massive loss of human life, I'm going to bring in the foreign folks. So our result here is that assistance was provided in terms of loans and volunteers, and it made it possible to mitigate the effects of the earthquake. So that's good. Just a little historical footnote here, guys. The earthquake that took place was the second most devastating in terms of loss of life in China since the previous earthquake in 1556. So, big historical event. But if you want to know more, Wikipedia would probably do the job. All right, let's go forward. Relations are going down. Interesting. Relations with the... Okay. Event. Death. Oh, here we go. Mao died. So the question we have before us, what do we do with him now that he's dead? So we can cremate him, which is what he wanted, build a memorial, or build a mausoleum on Tiananmen Square, or let the funeral commission decide. I'm just going to do what Mao wanted. We cremated him, we gave the farewell speech, and as you can see, the liberalization of mines took a hit. So I'm assuming the people here in China, they are reminded of the left radical leader Mao and his vicious attacks on capitalism and so-called counter-revolutionaries in the country, which impacted that. But it goes away. All right, but budget's going up. All right, let's see the event. Instability in Thailand. Okay, here we go. So this is going to be some things shaking up here. What's happened is the military, led by the royalists, the royal family invited to bring back the former prime minister, who's a right-wing guy, and the people are upset. So, and according to our data, the military are preparing a brutal suppression of the demonstration, which is a demonstration against this particular general being brought back into power. It's not our business. I think it is, because I want to try to retain as much global influence as we can, which is a challenge as things move forward. So, not our business. Send armed CPT units to help demonstrators and provoke an uprising, or condemn the cruelty of Thailand. I'm going to go ahead and get a little more involved. Thanks to our support and the effects of the special services, the armed militants of the CPT came to the university and together with the students started a battle with the right-wing militants, and the outcome, which was only decided by the police that arrived, I'm assuming to support the right. However, at this time, clashes and demonstrations were already taking place all over Bangkok to suppress which the army and police were thrown. Okay. Bottom line is, there is now a full-scale offensive being taken place by our people in the north of the country in a revolt against the right-wing government in Thailand. So here is a good example to demonstrate one of the cool features, I should say, that Kremlin Games has added in this game, and it involves our involvement in the different wars around the world. So what we have is the conflict at hand, the civil war in Thailand. We have where each superpower falls on which side they're supporting. So the United States is supporting the loyalists, Soviets are supporting the communists, and right now the loyalists are leading the conflict. There's only 100 total points, so this is like the loyalists, as this number goes higher, when it gets to 100 on either side, the conflict's over, and that side is determined as the winner. So we have these 4 boxes here, and as you can see, they're on either side. And we also keep in mind intervention points, and as you can see, based on the funding we have in diplomatic missions and our global influence, which again is this number here, it determines the growth of these points, which allow us to take different actions on the side of whichever faction we choose to support. Now, we're pretty well invested in this conflict already, So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to check our military power, our army power. It's at 15, so that's fine. I think we can expend some of that power there. So we've sent weapons to the communists, and we've lost one intervention point, which increased their effectiveness or support or whatever you like to call it by 4 points, and it automatically takes away 4 points from the loyalist side here. Now, the thing to keep in mind, this impacts your relations with the United States. So for every action I take, I believe for every action you take, regardless of what it is, you take a hit. If the U.S. is supporting these guys, it's by definition opposing these guys. And so when we take an action supporting the folks they are opposing, it impacts their relations. No different if I did this over here, the Soviets would be upset, or and then the United States would be happy. I'm gonna also send some agents to help them. Apparently I wasn't able to do so. Let's do diplomatic. Okay, I did that. Now that's interesting. It didn't cost any intervention points. It bumped us up 8 points here, -8 for the loyalists here, and I'm not sure if I took a hit on the relations with the U.S. Anyways, you get the idea how this particular mechanic works in the game. As different events take place, you'll see an Israeli war with Lebanon. You'll see the Falklands War, which of course was between the UK and Argentina. You'll see the Iran-Iraq War, and these will you'll be able to intervene in all as you see fit. But let's go ahead and move things forward. We got another event coming up, Gang of Four. Now that our chairman, Mao Zedong, has passed away, the internal party struggle again flared up in the Chinese Communist Party. So the situation here, I'm just going to try to be brief. Let's look at our options. So we have arrest all four, or arrest the two most prominent left radicals, and then find a compromise with the rest of them. Or we compromise and enlist the support of the radicals, or we do not interfere and just kind of take a hands-off approach. So the situation here, you saw the options we have available to us. Arresting the two refers to Mao's wife and this gentleman here, who was he was actually declared the successor to Mao, and then kind of the two lesser left radicals. On the other hand, the reformers, who are gaining strength, and of course they're led by Deng Xiaoping, who's been beat up all over the place, and he's still gaining strength. So we got to watch out for that. What I'm going to choose to do is get rid of the top two prominent left radicals, in an attempt to kind of solidify power behind me. So they were arrested, and then we ran an active media campaign against both of them, and so now they are being accused of trying to seize power, and just kind of excess in general during the time of the Cultural Revolution. And this, I always kind of laugh at this sentence. In general, the people and the majority of the party members accepted their fall with relief. Although many are strained by the fact that some radicals remained in power and consider the conspirators to be only scapegoats. Alright, so we've got a little bit of money here. Standard of living is, it's going to be taking a big hit. So to try to counteract that, I'm going to put one in welfare, one in services, one in gold reserve. Now, I don't think that this is going to change this per se. As you can see here, the debt amount that we have, which is continuing to go down, which is good, that impacts the loss from what we receive here by 0.2. And then losses from corruption, that's a negative 1.5. And then losses from standard of living is a negative 0.3. So it actually impacts your budget here as this goes down. And I do believe, although I can't say for sure, that I've seen a direct correlation between support of the people and standard of living, I have to believe that they are connected in some way. And then the reason I put the money in the gold reserve is I think it's just a good idea to, put some money away. Because, hey, you never know when you got to get crazy. All right, let's go forward. Budget's still increasing at a good clip. Relations with the USA took a big hit there. Okay, USSR likes us. I'm assuming this is a result of the actions we've taken in Thailand. Global influence. One thing we'll deal with the event first. Okay, Cambodian-Vietnamese War for several years, ruling in democratic Cambodia. Sorry, guys. I do my best, and I just can't pronounce certain things very effectively. Pol Pot, he was sending his guys over to Vietnam. They were attacking border villages, killing civilians en masse, and Vietnam got sick of it. So they launched a full-scale invasion of Cambodia to get rid of Pol Pot. And they did this using the dissidents of the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia as cover. Okay, so Pol Pot's been our guy, and it says it would be worth helping him, although on the other hand, it may be worth replacing the brazen dictator in favor of the more reasonable officers from the Cambodian army. And this, of course, will not stop the war, but Vietnam, which has set itself the goal of overthrowing Pol Pot, will find itself in a difficult situation. I like the idea of getting rid of Pol Pot. We can flat out help him, or we can remove him, or do not interfere. Let's get rid of him. Coming in contact with the left opposition within the Cambodian army, we were able to organize the displacement and arrest of Pol Pot. And so as a result, the Provisional Revolutionary Council came to power, which we're still fighting the Vietnamese here, but it kind of puts Vietnam in an awkward position where the whole reason they invaded in the first place was to get rid of Pol Pot. Well, that's been taken away. That reason's been taken away from them. So now we need to look at that event, that war, that conflict. So as you can see here, this is the conflict, Cambodian-Vietnamese War. We've got Cambodia here, we've got Vietnam here. Vietnam is being supported by the Soviets. The U.S. is being supported, the Cambodia is being supported by the U.S. Our interests are in supporting the Cambodians in this case. So we've got now 2.6 intervention points. And it looks like that's been increasing. I don't really know why, because I haven't increased the funding for diplomatic missions, and our global influence, I believe, has either stayed stagnant or actually decreased a bit. But let's go ahead and throw some weapons in there, and you can see our relations with the USA are continuing to drop. Diplomatic support, that seems to have a tremendous increase there. We've got some agent networks. Let's send in some specialists. That took 3, so keep that in mind, guys. Whenever you click sending specialists, that takes away 3. And we had a fairly significant increase here. Now we are not totally out of intervention points, but we've taken a big hit. I'm pretty well happy with where things are here. I'm not going to do anything here, so let's just go ahead and continue. We got 2 in the budget. I'm going to let that grow for a little bit. Okay, so another event. Wind of change after Mao died, and we have concentrated power in our hands. It's time to determine the future path of China. Okay, so conservative Maoists are in favor of continuing Mao's policies. The reformers, they want to go hardcore deregulation. All moderates believe that China needs change, but some will need an end to the Cultural Revolution and a small economic reorganization. I tend to find myself, at least for this playthrough, I want to be a moderate. But that does require kind of threading the needle on some of this stuff. Okay, so let's go forward. We'll continue the work of Mao. No. Cultural Revolution has already, okay, no thing there. Phase out the Cultural Revolution, and we need to do something with the economy. I like that one, because I'm not ready to go for the large-scale reforms. Okay. Okay, the result saying that the Cultural Revolution fulfilled its tasks. You begin to eliminate the last pockets of the long-fated Cultural Revolution. And then we stress the need to reorganize the Chinese economy and modernize it to the present level. How exactly it will be held, you do not say, but the reformers are already waiting. The people are waiting for change from you for the better. All right, so we've created some expectations here in liberalization of minds. Standard of living, that was a negative 0.9, and we did fund, if you guys remember, welfare and services. So I think that's the mitigating factor there. Oh, one thing we should be doing as well is always keeping an eye on the political situation. Okay, I'm going to support this guy. Now, no immediate impact on that. See, what I'm trying to do here, again, is as you look at from this perspective here, you can see the guys who are loyal to me. And I want to slowly, over time, put them into positions within the party hierarchy. In more powerful positions. That way I can try to head off any conspiracies. Okay, let's go forward. And again, one thing, guys, I would suggest is always keep an eye on the changes you're seeing here, because you can't turn things around overnight, and you can't just... Because the way this game operates, you cannot just flood some, like let's say services just crash. I can't just go to like 15 without having a huge impact on corruption, and then you're done, basically, because this just goes up and up and up, and you're screwed. So you just need to keep an eye out where things are. And I think I'm pretty well happy with where things are. Let's throw another... amount of money there in the gold reserve. Here's another thing, given the nature of the conflicts that we have in front of us, I'm going to increase diplomatic missions here as a result of attempting to, and as a result, we want to increase our intervention points that we collect. Now things are getting a little out of hand here. Let's send some specialists in. And let's go for weapons. All right, we don't want things running away from us there. We want to retain our influence and control. So enemies of my enemies, after the defeat of the Gang of Four, power nominally passed to you, but we do have to share it with a number of Xiaoping guys. And although we do have a more moderate, on the other hand, if you're focused on reforms, so the option we have here, and let's just get to it. Carefully strike reformers, only promote loyal conservatives, strike reformers to clear the way for moderate conservatives, and we need a strong alliance with reformers. Now, I am currently supporting under the doctrine screen. I'm currently supporting moderates, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to be bullied by reformers, nor do I want to be bullied by left radicals. So I'm trying to take this route. Okay. So here's the good news. Our position is significantly strengthened. However, we still have the elements of the reformists who basically are never going to be happy until we go full capitalist. Okay. Let's move things forward. All right, another event. Okay, so there's a heck of a lot to read here. Basically what this is, I'll put it in a nutshell. This is, now that Mao has passed, this is a commission to kind of evaluate Mao's legacy. So I'm going to take control of it. That's who the player is. And our path is right, because it is. We're not going to let the reformers take over. We're not going to let the Maybe these guys are liberals? I'm not sure. Anyways, I'm going to decide what we want to do. And there's really, I don't see much of a big issue here. We're just going to go forward. All right. Wars, I want to take a check in there. Good. Politics. Got a lot of supporters down here. Let's try to bring some guys up. We got them up there. That's good. Okay, economy. Let's see where things are. Industry slowly growing. Services, corruption, continuing to decrease. Debt, solid. Science, let's see where we are here. 390 out of the 500 science points required. So that's going to be coming up. Okay. Well, here we are. It's 1977. Mao has passed. We have solidified control. And I think this is probably a good place to stop this particular episode. Just want to say thank you guys again for watching, and stay tuned for further episodes of the playthrough. But if you like the video, do the obvious thing and like it. And subscribe if you're not already. And of course, always share it to your fellow political simulators. Anyways, thanks guys for watching, and I look forward to talking to you guys in the future.